Bam, we're live. He was on here for a second. Now he's gone. Tyson Bagent. I think is this the first? This is definitely the highest level football player we've had on the podcast.
What's going on,
Maybe
man?
the
How are you?
maybe the only football player. Just living the dream, buddy. Almost as good as you. Are you in a dorm room?
No, I'm in my apartment.
Oh, you have an apartment?
Yeah, I live with two of my buddies, about like 100 yards off campus.
And how far is that from your dad?
25 minutes.
Do your mom and dad come by every night to make sure you're not like fucking around?
Nah, I usually go up there. They don't really come in here.
They do.
Yeah, my buddy smokes a lot of weed, so I tell him not to come in here.
Dad, for your own safety, I don't want you to get contact high and start acting weird. Turn into like those California weirdos like your buddy Sevan.
Yeah, exactly.
You walk in the bedroom, get a hit of that shit, and you're all fucked up. Hey, this is nuts. Let's just start with this. We're live, right? So don't say anything. Don't talk about marijuana or anything crazy like that.
Got you.
Let me see this share screen. This is absolutely nuts. Let's see. How many times have you watched this?
Oh, dude, a whole bunch. That video is crazy.
Here we go.
The noise after he catches it is really the craziest thing.
You mean from the crowd?
Yeah, yeah. There's a
Yeah,
lot of people there.
I don't even know if the volume's on this. I don't know if people at home who are watching this live right now can see it.
Yeah, that play was crazy.
Hey, what are the chances of you getting injured in there? Shouldn't you, like, after you do that, you shouldn't be jumping around with all those giant dudes?
Nah, nah, if to me, I don't remember any of that. I really don't even remember the play. Like after it happened, it was just like so crazy. It took like even after the game, I wasn't really sure if it even happened. Like it was just so crazy. The adrenaline was wild. I actually had to run in the locker room and throw up after all that celebrating and stuff. It was intense.
Your dad told me that. I remember that there were CrossFit athletes right before the 3, 2, 1 go. They would start like
Yeah.
acting like really weird, and then I'd be like, "Hey, what's going on?" And they're like, I feel like I'm gonna throw up."
Oh
Did you
yeah.
feel that even before the play?
No, not no. I wasn't really nervous before, but I kind of knew we were already in range to tie the game up. So this was just like kind of just a bonus play, just because we had a little bit of time. So I wasn't too nervous. But just after all the yelling and screaming, there was dudes jacking me up, grabbing me after the play, yelling and stuff. So it was
What do you mean
desperate.
this was a bonus? What do you mean this was a bonus play? You guys were losing here, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we're losing by three, but right now where we're at, we're able to kick a field goal and tie the game up from where we're at, which is what everybody thought was going to happen. Um, so then this play, we're just trying to, take a shot at the end zone. So I knew even if the play didn't work, we would be able to kick a field goal. But
Oh
it
my
was just
God, you're the calmest dude in the world. I don't even know
nah,
how I don't know how you think like that. First of all, I want you guys to know who we have on here. This is my buddy's. Many, many years ago, I met this guy named Travis Bagent. I was making a movie calling Pulling John, and I built a friendship with his dad. And it's been a long, amazing friendship. His dad is one of the most amazing people I know, and he's got all these little kids. And he was a weird, devoted dad. So when I would go over to his house, he was like always playing with his sons, and he was super into his sons. And every time I visited, like we would jump in the car and be going to a basketball game. I think I saw you play basketball and football.
yeah,
Yeah, or
yeah,
no, I didn't see you play. I would go to practices because no, even
yeah,
if we were making a movie, your dad would be like, "No, we got to stop. I got to take my kids to practice." Or and of course, an extremely dedicated mother too. But I'm not as good of friends with your mom. And then flash forward, I don't know, how old are you now?
21.
So last time I probably saw you, I don't know, you were probably 10.
Yeah, yeah, I was young. I was young.
And
I remember hanging out with you. I remember you would be at the house with your camera and stuff, but I remember you put me on the guacamole at a Mexican restaurant we went and ate at, and I'm been a big guacamole fan ever since. So that's kind of what
oh
I think of.
wow,
That's what I
what?
think of whenever I think of you.
And your dad doesn't eat anything green.
Nah, nah, my dad eats a bunch of bullshit.
It's against his religion. Um,
Yeah.
Which is funny because I used to think he's a fucking West Virginia idiot for that, and now like all the smartest guys in the room are like, "Hey, you should only be eating meat, and if you want vitamins and minerals, just eat organ meat." And I'm like, "Well, shit, Travis knew all along."
Yeah. The Atkins diet.
Uh Travis Tyson Bagent is a this is just copy and paste. Tyson Bagent of Shepherd University ranks first among Division II football players in 4 statistical categories. And I'm not a huge football guy, but I'm assuming these are really important. You average 355.8 passing yards per game. By the way, I think this has changed slightly. I think this is a couple of games old. You pass for a total of 3,914 yards. The total offense is averages 360.1. Hey, so if you're averaging 355.8 passing yards per game and 360 total, that means the running back's only getting 5 yards?
No, that means that I'm only running for 5 yards
Oh, okay,
per
okay,
game.
okay.
Per
Oh,
game.
okay, okay. And is responsible for 290 points. And I think I saw somewhere else you're over 300 points, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I think you're talking. The stats you're talking about are from 2 games ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts. And in high school, so here's another crazy statistic. In high school, you passed for 7,800 yards with 112 touchdowns. And I couldn't find where you were ranked among the best high school players of all time in the history of the sport, but I found a website where they did rank them by
Yeah.
passing yards, and you would have been, you weren't in there, I don't know why, but you would have been the 42nd best high school player in the history of the United States
Wow.
based on passing yards.
That's
Like,
pretty sweet
and
stat.
just to give you a perspective, number 51 had 4,100 passing yards.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, nuts, right?
That is crazy.
Absolutely nuts. Okay, so you're back to this crazy thing. You're 12-1 going into this game, and
11
now
and one
this
going into this game.
okay, 11-1 going into this game. You're a
Yep.
junior at the college. Does that mean you're going to play one more year?
Yeah, so that means I have one more year.
Okay, for sure you play.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's been scouts to come in and, kind of introduce themselves and say they've been watching me, and um there's potential I can put my name out into like the pro level and get feedback on, what I need to work on, or if I'm a draftable guy this year. Um, so that would be super cool. But I think for the most part, I'm going to come back next year, you know, try to continue to play well, and then just improve on that stock and try to just see what happens.
Okay. What about going to another college?
Now I don't think there would be any point in me just leaving for one year. I think I've got some good stuff going for me right where I'm at, and we're playing good football where I'm at. So it wouldn't really be worth it. Not a lot of schools are really looking for a guy just to play one year.
Is poaching frowned upon? Or is it
Say
just
it again?
it's all is poaching frowned upon? Let's say another college wanted you.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So basically,
You have COVID? Do you have COVID?
I don't know. We get tested,
Oh,
but
oh.
so it's called the transfer portal. So if I wanted to transfer, I would go tell my coach and athletic director, "Hey, I'm looking to transfer." They would put my name in the transfer portal. Once it's in there, then any college who wants me is allowed to hit me up, offer me, whatever. But as long as I'm not in the transfer portal, there is no conversations with any other coaches.
Okay. Legally.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I
Is
mean,
that your
basically the only shady, I mean, it's not even shady, just I'll have like a whole coaching staff from another school follow me on just Twitter or something, and that's basically as crazy as it gets.
and that makes sense anyway, because just in case they're going to play you, or even if they're not going to play you, they're like, hey, this guy's really good, let's see how he moves, let's see how he throws. They want to learn from you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Is that your Instagram? I just smashed your name together and threw an at in front of it.
Yeah, that's my Instagram name, Tyson Bagent.
Are you named? Did your parents name you after Mike Tyson?
Um, Dude, I don't even know. I hope not. But I don't think they did. I don't think they did. I really don't know exactly where they got that name. Um,
He was
But
super popular. I mean, he's super popular now, but man, he
yeah,
was huge when we were kids.
yeah,
Holy
yeah,
shit.
yeah,
He was bigger than life. He really, there was only just him and like Michael Jordan. There were no other like, I mean, there were other big stars, but they were like on a
yeah,
whole different, they were on a
yeah,
whole different stratosphere.
yeah. It's fun.
I don't even know if there is anyone like them anymore. You know, like Tom Brady's not like that. Conor McGregor's not like that. I don't think there are any, at least in the United States. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
overseas they got that guy. What's his name? Rolando?
Oh, Ronaldo, the soccer player.
Ronaldo. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd probably be comparable to like the Mike Tyson and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna play this one more time. And this is with 20 seconds left.
Yeah, so there was 10 seconds when the play started, and then when he caught it and scored, there was 1 second left.
And prior to this, go back a minute in the game. Tell me about tell me what happened just prior to this, what like when they scored.
So it was 31 to 27. We were winning. There's probably about 4 minutes left in the game. They get the ball, and it's a hard situation to them for them too, because our defense has kind of been stopping the run, making them throw the ball. So they end up putting together like a 3-minute drive that scores with 28 seconds left in the game, and they go up by three. And basically all the conversation within the team just leading up to that week has just been like, don't let this be the seniors, don't let this be their last game, because at the D2 level, there's not a lot of guys that necessarily want to go play professionally, and there's not a lot of guys that really can go play professionally. So I kind of had it in the back of my mind where, if we were to lose this game, it not only would it be probably the last football game these dudes ever play, but probably one of the last times I'll ever probably see these dudes ever again. So when they scored, I was just initially like crushed, but I knew we had a little bit of time, and I knew that we would at least have a chance at a field goal if we would get the ball in good field goal range. So we end up getting a good return on the kick, and then the first play, I end up hitting a dude across the middle for about 30 yards, which got us in that field goal range.
So
Then
so
we
so
ran that.
sorry. Let me go. I want to go back a second. There's 28 seconds left, and then they kick the ball, and the clock starts going down, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And you guys catch it and run it back a little bit.
yeah. We run it back a little bit. We get it to about 60 yards away from the end
Okay.
zone.
Okay.
So boom, we first play hit the receiver for about 30 yards. So now we're about 30 yards away from the end zone. Then that
And is
last
that
play
a shoe?
happened.
Is that a sure thing now? You're like, okay, we can tie it. Like, what are the odds of making that
Like
field goal right there?
I'd say 50-50. It would have been a long
Okay.
field goal, but
Okay.
we definitely thought that our kicker had like enough leg to get it there. It's just a matter of would it go in or not. So yeah, so then that last play happened and everybody went crazy, and I was just, happy get to see these dudes for another week.
Is it is it a good throw or is it a good catch?
I say a little bit of both. Throwing on the run is definitely not easy, but I think, that catch alone in that circumstance is not an easy catch. But that's a bad dude right there catching the ball.
What's fascinating is this is the first time I've froze it. Every time I've watched it, I'm like, oh man, did he catch that inbounds because he's moving so fast? But now look,
Yeah,
he's catching it and he's nowhere near the
yeah,
out of bounds.
yeah. He does end up. Yeah, he gets the foot in. He's like definitely moving really fast, so he still is close to the sideline when his feet hit, but he definitely is in bounds.
Let's double check. Wait, let's. What if we just change your whole football career by seeing he's out of bounds right here?
That
Hey,
might be smart.
so he catches the. I know you're supposed to have both feet in bounds, but like he catches the ball.
Yeah.
God, he travels so far. He has one foot, and then I guess that heel hits. But even if that foot would have come out of bounds, that's still in bounds, right? Because his body's
Well, all right, yeah. So in college, you only need 1 foot. In the NFL,
okay.
you need two. You need two.
Okay.
So did he get 2 feet? I really don't know by that angle, but he definitely did get the 1 foot, which is all that we needed.
And so, who filmed this?
I have no idea. It wasn't anybody like affiliated with Shepherd or anything. There was like a bunch. Once you get in the playoffs, the national playoffs, there's camera people come from all over. So there was about probably 20, 30 people filming on the sidelines. So just, I don't know, somebody who was lucky enough to get that good of a view.
Yeah, they hooked it up. Imagine if they wouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
This would just be a
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
So have you thrown it right here? Can you tell, like, when do you think you're letting go of the ball? Oh, look at those other two guys on the edge are looking at you. So that means or looking at the receiver. So
Yeah.
that means they've already
Yeah.
thrown it, right?
Yeah. The ball's definitely, it's probably about halfway there by this point.
Oh man. Yeah, look at
Yeah.
those guys. So when you see those guys looking over there, you know that the ball's been released.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Cause
then
yeah,
what's the
cause
guy's
that,
name who caught what?
um, you said what's his name?
Yeah.
Josh Gonteric.
Is he good, or is is this just completely lucky?
Oh nah, dude, he's really good.
And
Exceptional receiver.
so he's made you look good a bunch of times.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah,
Do
he's a
you
grown man. He's a grown man. Dude's got a kid and everything.
Oh
Beast.
shit. Oh
Beast.
shit.
Yeah.
In California, you wait till you get out of college before you have kids, but I know you guys do it different over there in West Virginia. You guys hit puberty at 7 and just you guys start going. Get in the coal
Yeah.
mine, play a season of football and straight to the coal mine.
Straight to the coal mines.
And then these people on the side here who are going nuts, these are people who are too cheap to buy tickets.
Now, so that pavilion is like where actually I would say the more rich people sit because in that pavilion you can eat food during the game and kind of have your own little sectioned party while the game's going on.
Oh yeah,
So
look
they,
at it. It's the elite class. That's where all the
yeah,
Democrats are sitting. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Look at them.
exactly.
Look at
Yeah,
them. Good dudes.
yeah, yeah.
And how cold is it?
It actually wasn't that bad. It was probably low 40s, with a little bit of wind.
Oh,
So it wasn't that bad.
it's bad. It's bad. And what are
I
these two
mean,
guys saying? What's going on here? What's going on here? Every
all
time I see
right.
it, I see this. What's this? What?
So all right. Yeah, so
Who is
65
that
is
little guy on your team? Shouldn't he get kicked off?
nah, dude. That dude, he might be the best player on the team. That's how crazy
Okay.
that dude. Name's Ryan Beach. He's 5'4", white guy, and he's the fastest dude I've ever seen in my entire life.
Wow.
He's the dude I threw it to the play before that we got the 30 yards that we were able uh, to throw that last play.
What position is he?
He's a receiver, so he catches the ball.
But you said he's 5'4". Isn't there like some rule in college football that like if you're under 5'4", you're not allowed to be receiver?
Nah, so he didn't have any offers out of high school, and we kind of got him like last minute.
Oh,
Um,
DEI, diversity, equity, inclusivity. You had to include like a black dude, an Asian dude, and a short Armenian dude. Is that dude Armenian? Holy
nah, it's just
cow,
a.
this is crazy. You got Muggsy Bogues out there. So that guy caught the pass before that.
He caught that pass before, and not only has he caught the pass before that, he was our conference's newcomer of the year. Like he had a big year. He had over 1,000 yards catching, uh, over 10 touchdowns. Like it's a bad dude.
Tyson, one of the guys who helps me with the show, Will, I sent him this video clip last night and he looked you up. He's like, holy shit, this dude, Tyson Bagent, has won everything and anything you can win in football, starting back in high school. It's just, but dude, that's your crowning achievement. That
I
should be
mean,
at the
yeah,
top
yeah.
of your resume. I threw 1,000 yards to a dude who's 5'4". That should just be right at the top. I purposely chose a dude who's 5'4", so the receiver can't get any credit. Holy
Dude,
shit.
nah, it's funny because his wingspan is so tiny. Like there's been a lot of times where I've thrown the ball to him where I'm like, oh man, like that's a perfect throw, and then he reaches his arms out. But but nah, he's so fast and he's done such a good job. It's crazy because the other teams they see us warming up, they see him, and then it's like they have no clue what's about to happen as soon as the game starts.
um, Smallest guy in the NFL. I want to see it. It's got to be a kicker, right, or something.
No, I think it might be a receiver that plays for the Saints. I don't know his name, but he's
The
tiny.
shortest player in NFL all time was Jack Shapiro in 1929, 5'1", 119 pounds. That doesn't count. 1929. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
Let me
what was
see.
that dude? What was
Okay, the
that dude's
shortest player
name?
of all time in 2021. Here we go. Oh, it's just shortest. Uh, I mean, this guy is the smallest, best dude you've ever seen, right? This guy, what's his name? What the guy you're playing with?
Ryan Beach.
Yeah, Ryan
Ryan Beach.
Beach.
Yeah.
You never seen it. I mean, the odds of seeing him. I'm 5'5", and if I see a dude who's five, I don't see a dude who's shorter than me every day.
Yeah,
And so to
no.
just even
Yeah.
see a 5'4" dude out in the wild who's like not in the circus is weird.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, when our coaches when they first told me, because they kind of filled me in on like who we were getting and stuff, and this was right
they
before
warn
COVID.
you. They warn you that a dude
No,
5'4" is coming up.
not necessarily warrant. They're just going down the list of like, hey, these are the receivers that we have coming in,
Uh
and
huh.
I'm kind of listening. And he's like, yeah, and then we got this dude Ryan Beach. His film is like absolutely ridiculous, and the coach was sitting down. And he was like, but Tyson, like the dude's this tall, and I was like, fuck. I mean, we definitely weren't thinking that he was going to come in and do like what he's done this year. And he's one of those freshmen that came in during the COVID year. So there was no football in 2020, so it was just kind of all practices, and we were able to really get an idea of like what he was good at and kind of how special he could be.
And what's he saying to this guy 13? Is this one of his friends that he's like consoling, or is this?
Um, so 13, that's the dude who the ball got caught on. So he was covering the guy who caught the touchdown, and he was actually, if not probably close to their best player on the defense. And he didn't talk a lot of shit during the game. So, and I don't think Ryan talks a lot of shit. So I can't imagine that they're going at it. However, there was a bunch of fights after the game though, just because dudes on their team, they're in the same boat as us, but they got so many dudes who will never play football again. So these dudes are ready. I mean, they're ready to go to jail. They don't care. Like they're ready to fight. Like there was one dude on their defense in particular that really like just swinging on everybody. Like it was his last time ever playing. He lost in the most dramatic way possible, and you could just kind of see just how upset and mad he was.
Wow.
Yeah.
I went to I just made me reminded me. I went to one time when I was out filming with your dad. Your dad played flag football, and he was the quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you know that? Do you remember that?
I don't remember. The thing I remember my dad doing is the softball league, and he would just hit bombs. You got these dudes just whipping the ball up to him. He would just hit bombs. That's
So
the only
your
thing I
dad played
remember.
in this. He played in this flag football league, and we went there one time, and I don't remember there being any white dudes except your dad. And
Yeah. Yeah.
we get to the game, and the other team is warming up, and they're all big dudes. They're all big dudes. They're all big like your dad, and if they're not as tall as your dad, they're wide. They look like just dudes who I don't. They just look like dudes who went to the should have gone to the NFL, but for some reason they're
Yeah.
playing flag football with Travis.
Yeah.
And you know what your fucking dad does? I think he had like a Navigator or something, some ridiculously big car. He drove out this before the game, drove out on the field into like where they're warming up in the center, and rolls down the window and just talks some shit to him. Oh, good to see you boys. I'm gonna fuck you up today. I hope you brought your Kleenex. I mean, it was crazy. And I'm in the
That's
car filming. I'm
definitely
like, this
something to
can't be
do.
safe. This can't be safe. And then I think he lost the game. I think he got beat up pretty good.
Yeah, I can imagine he was that good in that flag football league.
Um,
No.
when did you know? When did you know that football was going to be like pretty full time for you? Like at what age?
Oh man, I'd say I'd say probably my sophomore, junior year of high school. Um, I kind not necessarily that I knew it was going to be full time. I knew it was what I wanted to do, and I kind of knew that's what my family knew I wanted to do, and then so I just kind of knew that no matter what, I was just going to try to be the best I could to set myself up and try to. Really, it was just trying to get a college offer, and then I really thought, like with what you said, how successful I was in high school, I thought I was going to get a really big time offer. I was a big WVU fan, which most kids that grew up in West Virginia are big WVU fans. So I definitely
W
wanted to
what?
get
What
back.
is that? What is that?
West Virginia University.
Okay.
Yeah, so like big Power Five Division One football. I thought that's who I was, and I was waiting on those calls, but they never came. And I had always gone to Shepherd games, and I knew how amazing the atmosphere was, and that they threw the ball a bunch. So I didn't have any issue going there. And then, so
Why didn't the
basically, when
calls come? Your high school career is nuts. By the way, your brother's high school career is nuts too. You have a little brother, Ezra, who's like he's this weekend. You're going to the regional championships, and he's going to the state championships.
he is,
During,
yeah, they played
and
for the
he's a
state
junior in high
championship.
school, and you're a junior in college.
Yep, yes,
Yeah,
sir.
it's nuts. Okay, sorry. So why didn't those calls come? What did those dudes see? Like, are you too small? Are you too big? Are you like, what's the
Nah,
deal?
I think it was like I was right on the cusp of like dudes that, they like I was a dude that, they may offer, but if they get this other nationally ranked dude, then they don't need to bother with me. So that was one of the things with WVU is that they ended up getting a nationally recruited guy to commit to their school that was in the same class as me. Um,
Who is
so
it?
that
What's
is,
his name?
man, I don't remember his last name. I knew his name was
Is he
Trey something.
is he there now?
Nah, he's not there anymore. He ended up transferring.
Well, they picked the wrong
So
fucking guy.
yeah, it's funny how that works. But yeah, those calls never came in. But then I came to Shepherd, and then I just wanted to light it up every time just to give myself a chance. Because I still know that like if it was up to me, I would just keep playing football. So all it's been is just trying to put myself in the best situation so I'm able to keep playing football, even when college is over.
Your dad, from what I know, he played sports for one very specific reason. He had a really fucking tough upbringing. There was well, for all kids it's survival. Whether you come from the billionaire's home or not, you're doing stuff and you're compromising and you're figuring out what the adults want from you so that you can get what you want, right?
Yeah.
And um and so your dad, sorry, I text during the show. Sorry, I got a phone call from a
Oh
good
no, you're
friend. Let me
good.
say, I'm doing a podcast with Travis's son. Someday you won't be Travis's son. You'll actually be like Tyson Bagent.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so he had to work crazy hard. And hey, no one in the comments be like it's rude to text while you're doing a podcast. Fuck off. Um, so in one of the stories that stands out with me is like, hey, he told me, hey, and I'm paraphrasing, if I was good at sports, then the other parents would then like me and I'd get invited to their house. I got warm meals. I got to shower. Like I got, it was like staying in a fancy hotel, like when you know a rich guy and they put you up in a fancy hotel. So he
Yeah.
knew, hey, pursue sports as an avenue of like just getting some better shit. You come from, I mean, you're still in West Virginia. I'm sorry about that. But you come from two very loving parents and a crazy extended family. And whether there's skeletons in your closet or not, every family does. But you come from from a lot of people's perspective, a really good family. It's like,
Yeah.
it's together. You fight together. You love together. You have a place to go at Thanksgiving. You have grandparents that are just tripping balls on you. So then what becomes your motivation? Because I know your dad wanted you to, well, I don't know that he wanted you to play football professionally, but I knew he loved watching all you guys move and play, and he wanted to be like a huge part of it. So is your motivation, like, I guess like all of us, just to make your parents happy?
I definitely say that plays a big part of it. I definitely feel a huge sense of happiness whenever I see my parents after the game and they're hugging and smiling and like, oh, you did so good. That feels really good. I'd say just my main source of motivation is just I'd say just my overall happiness and the way football makes me feel. Just I really love playing football, and it's like I said, it's what I want to do and I'm happy when I'm doing it. So really just all the work that I've ever put in it is just because I love it so much and that it is like it's what I want to do for as long as I can do it. Um, Obviously my family loving to watch it is definitely a plus, and I love making my father happy. And I'm kind of where I am because of all the things like you said, taking me to all these practices as I've grown up, just kind of making me the player and the dude I am today. But I'd say, yeah, overall, like making my family proud, and then overall, it's just like what I want to do and what I think I'm supposed to do.
Does your motivation change over time? Like as a kid, it's like, okay, I really want to make mom and dad happy. And then it's like, hey, I want to do this to get chicks. And now it's like, wow, I actually really love this game.
Yeah, I'd say it started off like, you're young, you make a lot of friends playing sports, so that was
Oh, right.
awesome,
Yep.
right? So I'm making a lot of
So even
friends
if you don't
almost
want to go
all.
to practice, Mikey's going to be there
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
guys are
my
going to like
yeah.
throw dirt clods at each other. So it's like, fuck it, I'm
Yeah.
going.
Yeah, like my first ever practice, I meet my best friend who I'm still best friends with to this day. My buddy Rasan. We started playing football together when we were 5 and 6, and now we're
Wow.
we're 21. He plays basketball at South Carolina State, but he still lives in Charlestown. I live in Martinsburg, so whenever we're home, we make sure we see each other. We're still texting all the time. Um, so it's just stuff like that. So it starts off, I'm making a lot of friends. It's fun. We were pretty successful. My dad was like a youth coach guru. If he wanted a player that was really good, he would just get his dad to be on the coaching staff. And if his dad was on the coaching staff, that kid automatically got put on the team. So he was just doing shit like that, and we were winning championships. Then you get to high school, you start realizing, hey, I kind of like this. I want to go to college and play this. Um, and I wasn't very social in high school. It's just kind of football was the way I kind of expressed myself through high school, and just wanting to get an offer to go play college, so my parents didn't have to pay for college. Because even though I come from a great family, they did a good job of not letting us see it. But I had an idea that money was tight, and I didn't want to have to put that stress on my parents to have to pay for my college. Um, and then now that I'm in college and I know I have a chance to maybe play professionally after college, it's the same thing. I see my two little sisters, my little brother. I'm sure he can go to college and play football and not have to pay for it. But my two sisters, they don't play any sports. They just they're not competitive. They're like my mom. They're just don't not very competitive, and nothing's wrong with that. But I know my sister doesn't want to go to Shepherd, and I know my dad doesn't want to pay for her to go to somewhere else other than Shepherd. So it's just one of those cool things where I'm constantly thinking of ways I can help my family and
Mm.
just kind of help everybody out in the long run, make everybody happy.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. Along with your motivation changing, was there an age that you realized, oh shit, what I'm doing is dangerous? Or have you ever realized that? Like, do you realize that? Like, wow, this
Um,
is this is gnarly what I'm doing. Or is it all
yeah,
you
I
know?
think it's. I think I understand. I think me playing quarterback has definitely helped out because you think of things like all these concussions and dudes getting CTE, and you realize how dangerous football is. Which really, everything you do in life is it's all risky. Like as soon
Especially
as
if you're
you're
going to be good. Especially if you're going to be
yeah,
good.
yeah, right. Like yeah, even just as soon as you're born, everything's risky. So just being able to like understand that, and especially me playing quarterback, I'm not nearly taking the beating that everybody else is. Like I'm definitely I get my fair share of times I get hit and times I get head butted by somebody else. But as far as the danger aspect, I would just say playing quarterback is more stressful than it is dangerous. Just with the amount, you got to be as mentally good as you are physically good, and that's just not the case for a lot of the other positions on the field.
And I appreciate how you're putting the quarterback, but isn't there a component to the quarterback that maybe you're not getting the beat down that the other players are, that when you do get hit, like most people on the team know, okay, this play there's going to be a hit and it's going to happen now. When you get hit,
Yeah.
like isn't it like more than 50% of the time you're like, where the fuck did that guy come from?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, that is one of the stressful things where like you really have to put a lot of trust into, your offensive linemen who are blocking for you. And because if you don't trust them, now all of a sudden instead of looking downfield for somebody to throw the ball to, I'm like looking to see if anybody's coming to crush me. And then, all of a sudden somebody's streaking down the field wide open and you didn't see him because, you're too worried about getting hit. But yeah, a lot of the times it is, you get sacked, you don't necessarily see it coming. Um, I've been lucky enough to be able to move pretty well as soon as I see somebody, and maybe not necessarily get out of those big hits, but kind of lessen the blow by just being able to move my body out of the way, maybe just even a little bit.
Hey, it's crazy. I never even thought of it like that. So the ball is snapped and you know the play, and let's say
Yeah,
there's wide receiver, there's guys running downfield that you're going to throw it to, right? And I'm guessing like there's
yeah.
a primary guy and then a backup guy, right?
Yeah, well, the edges, there's a concept going, and I'm reading one guy on their defense. If he goes left, I go right. If he goes right, I go left, and then we just kind of base it off like that.
Okay. And then there's a point every play where you're like, fuck, I've had the ball too long. And
Yeah, that's kind of
and
like
there's
how,
fucking it's like Star Wars. There's bogeys. I know there's dudes out there. I don't know
yeah,
where they all are, but
yeah,
there's dudes out there, and
yeah,
I've
yeah.
definitely had the ball too long.
Yeah, that was kind of that was the case in that game-winning touchdown last week. I was sitting in the pocket. The play wasn't for me to run out to the right, but I'm sitting in the pocket. All of a sudden, I'm kind of realizing my internal clock is going off like, hey, I need to get out of here before I get sacked and lose this game. So move out to the right. Dude kept it going, and then boom. But yeah, that internal clock definitely is moving. And it's not necessarily a fear of getting blasted as much as it is like if I don't move, this is going to be a super unsuccessful play.
Meaning you get sacked and you lose 10 yards instead of score a touchdown.
Right, you lose 10 yards, and not only do you lose 10 yards, but that's 10 more yards that the field goal kicker would have had to kick.
Oh,
And we were, right, so we're
oh,
already
instead of
like,
being the hero, you're a douche all of a sudden.
yeah, exactly.
Oh,
Exactly.
wow. Those of you
Yeah.
who are going to listen to this on iTunes and Spotify, you're missing out. I'm single handedly no Matt Souza today, and I'm single handedly just keep running this clip over and over. That just you got to see. You got to come over to YouTube and watch this. It's nuts. What's also nuts is that you earn this. So you had in high school you had two perfect seasons, right?
Yeah.
So you had two perfect seasons in high school. How many times did you win the championship in high school?
Those 2 seasons. So I won
Okay,
2 state championships.
and was that junior and senior year?
Yeah.
Excuse me. And then it's not like this is. It's not like this. There's nothing lucky about this.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, it's. I guess it's fortuitous that there were 10 seconds left, and it was
Yeah.
nice that your defense let them score at the last minute to give you an opportunity to do something great. That was really cool. Your defense to do that for you. Um, but shit, I mean, how many times have you thrown? Oh, that's another thing. I was listening to one of your other interviews. Is that the first time you guys have ever run that play live in a game?
Yeah, so that play, we were playing the Notre Dame Falcons. That play was called Falcon that we had initially put in for that game. So it
Yeah.
was
How
kind of
weird is
crazy.
that? How can that
Yeah.
be? That sounds like a made up story.
Yeah, it was kind of because I didn't realize it, and then after the game, our offensive coordinator was talking to me about it, and he's like, "Man, how fucking crazy is it that we scored on the play that's called Falcon that we put in for the Falcons?" I was like, "Oh man, that is a little wild."
So that play specifically is for, hey, if shit's really bad and we need to score last minute, we're going to use this play, and they tell you that in practice when you're practicing it.
Yeah, so we put it in for a specific look that we thought that they would give us. They ended up not giving us that look. So, but the plays still
Ah,
work. The play still worked perfectly, and if I would have had a little bit more time, the ball would have been out a lot sooner for a touchdown because he was open. But it was the fact that I had to move that, really took the clock down and brought it to 1 second.
sorry if you said this already and I missed it. Was that the guy that was supposed to get the ball in that play?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And because I think I saw on the left hand side there was another guy who was like who had slowed down, who was maybe trying to get the ball. How often do you throw to the guy who's supposed to get it and throw to the guy who's not supposed to get it, like the backup dude?
Um, Well, I think it's basically it's 50-50 every play just because like I said, I'm reading somebody on their defense. If he goes this way, then I know that I got to go to this side and I got to work one, two to three. If he goes this way, then I go on this side. I got to work one down to two. So basically, it's fair game. Anybody's liable to get the ball, uh, any play.
How old are you when they start teaching you that stuff? And is that the way they do it all the way? Is all football just all the same? So like if you go to the NFL, it's going to be the same.
It'll be a little bit more complex, I feel, because that's what I mean. That's just what everybody says. But yeah, I think it starts off in high school. My sophomore year, being able to get the starting varsity job, you kind of just that process starts where hey, it's not as complex as the things I'm doing now, but you get an idea of like how it works. It's basically just a number scheme. You want to work to the side that has less people than you have, and it just works out like that.
And then if there's a guy on their team who's just amazing, like it's the guy who's leading in your conference with interceptions, are you like, okay, I make a note of that, or is it like, no, fuck you, I'm not even giving that, paying any heed to that?
Yeah, I would say, especially this year with just the guys that we have on the team and how good we are, it's pretty much just a fuck you. Like we're just gonna we can't pay anybody more mind than they need. So just being able to work through it as if everybody is just equal.
Is there anyone you're losing on the team? Does it concern, like at the end of the year, is it stressful for everyone because there's seniors who are leaving? You're like, oh man, this guy's so important.
Yeah, I think that especially in college, I mean, you basically get putting together a new team each year. So I'd say every year it's been stressful, and this year it'll still be like, damn, like we're losing this guy, or we're losing that guy. But I think every year, I think our coaching staff has done a great job of just replacing the pieces and um, just working with the new guys that we have coming in.
What do those guys want to do? So like you want to play football your whole life. What do the coaches want to do? Do they have aspirations? Are like those dudes trying to get to like a D1 school? Are they trying to get to the NFL? Is everyone
Yeah,
there? And is every game just like a job interview,
yeah, I'd say it's
especially
different.
at this level?
Yeah, I'd say it's different for a lot of the coaches on our team. Like, there's definitely coaches on our team that are they're building their resume. They want to maybe coach high Division 1 football. Maybe there's coaches on our team that aren't the head coach that want to be a head coach one day. And so I'd say there's a lot of coaches that are building their resume to try and get, a better job that pays more money, that has more publicity, that's just bigger football than what's played at Shepherd. And there's nothing wrong with that. And then there's also coaches that have been at Shepherd for 15, 20 years that are just that they love where they're at, and their families here and their kids go to school here, and you've got that whole aspect of things where people don't want to kind of put their family through that just because they want to have another job. Like our offensive coordinator from 2019, he comes in my freshman year, coaches me my freshman sophomore year, coaches me through that COVID year, then all of a sudden brings me in for a meeting and says, hey, I took the head coaching job at Eastern New Mexico State University. I'm out next week. And boom, it's just like that. Like
Wow.
his wife, his 3 kids, they pick up, they go to the other side of the country.
Does
It's
that
just like
rock you?
that.
Does that rock you emotionally?
It was that was one of the ones where I was like, because he was the offensive coordinator, but he was also the quarterback coach, and he was the quarterback coach ever since I got to Shepherd. Um, so when he brought me in, it was kind of we had, I know his family. I've been to his house hundreds of times for reasons other than football. Just
Right.
because we have a a friendship, a bond at this point, and he brought me in, and it was so upsetting for him to tell me that he had to take me into the head coach's office, and while the head coach is telling me, I'm just he's tearing up, I'm tearing up. Then it's just you leave that, you have a whole heart to heart, and that really put it in my head to where like I know I can be a good coach just with all the experience I have and everything I've been through. I know that when football's said and done, I know I can be like a good coach. But when he told me that, I was like, man, I don't know if I want I don't know if I want to be a coach. Like I don't know if I want to look at my future wife and kids down the road and say, hey, we're out of here. We're going to the desert. Like just so yeah, it
For an
definitely is
extra zero on
emotional.
your paycheck, everything changes.
Yeah,
Everything
exactly.
changes.
Yeah.
You'll feel so good buying your wife a new car and getting your kids clean clothes.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you know about leadership? Is it always the quarterback who's the leader of a football team? Do
I
football
wouldn't
teams
say
have
it.
leaders?
Yeah, yeah, they definitely do. Every good team at least has leaders on the team that aren't a part of the coaching staff. But I would say not always is the quarterback like the leader. I would say he plays a big leadership role. Like a lot of dudes, like if you're on a team, just say that, relies on the quarterback heavily. Obviously his role and his how vocal he is gonna have an effect on the team. But I would yeah, quarterback usually, you know, I'd say I'm definitely like the leader of our team. I'd say I led by example kind of when I was in my younger years, 2018, 2019. I'm 18, 19 years old. There's 23, 24-year-old dudes on the team. It's kind of hard to get through when it's a situation like that. But I'd say now I'm old enough. Um, People know my body of work since I've been there. So it's like I've taken the more vocal role as well as being able to lead by example. And I think just, with me doing that and other dudes that we have on the offense and defense, just playing those big roles is kind of why we're able to win so many games.
I'm going to ask you a follow-up question on leadership thing. For those of you guys who don't know, there's an award called the Harlon Award. Am I pronouncing that right? The Harlon Hill Trophy.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's the Division II version of the Heisman. And there's 156 schools that send in, I guess people to compete for that trophy. And then there's like 96 guys who vote on it from all over the country or from all over your conference.
I think it's something like that. Yeah.
And Tyson's been nominated for it. And man, it doesn't. I don't want to jinx you, but it doesn't seem like you could possibly not win that. This isn't. You're looking at someone who's so fucking good at football and so committed to his craft. It's nuts. And right behind him is his brother. Did you always? Oh, I got so many. I got to go back to this thing about leadership, and then we got to talk about your brother too. So when is that award going to be given? When do you find out, like, if you're the winner or not?
I think sometime later this month, I believe.
Do you want that?
Mid to late December. I think it would be cool. I don't necessarily think that it's something that I'm like going to sleep thinking about or anything like that. I really want to like basically my whole motto this whole like COVID year and this past summer working with these dudes is that um, just trying to win a national championship. Because something Shepard's never ever done. They've been to the national championship, but they lost in it. Um, so I think being able to do that for the dudes on the team, I think would be huge. But definitely winning the Harlan Hill would be awesome too. Let's do both. Put it like that.
I'm not going to forget about leadership. Don't forget about leadership, Sevan. Is winning the Harlan Hill Award the same as kind of this pass? Yeah, this pass is really cool. Yeah, it happened in a playoff game. But the real reason this is cool is because it's one more thing on your resume. Like everyone knows you're good. No one's like, oh, this guy's not good. It's already done. You have no peer. You're fucking amazing. But now look what happens when this kid is put under an insane amount of pressure and he can still perform. We already know that he can run the first 199 laps of the race as good as anyone. But look what happens when he's down, losing in the 200th lap. He'll actually try to pass someone in a dangerous corner, and you did it. And that's what's, in my opinion, that's what's really cool, because it's like, for the people who are looking at you, it's like, oh shit. Like, it's a tiebreaker, right? If there's another quarterback out there who's just as good as you, but he didn't have this opportunity, or he bungled it, you know what I mean? Yeah. He threw the pass out of bounds. They got you. And then is the Harlan Hill, if I'm accurate in understanding that, is the Harlan Hill Award the same thing too? Yeah, it's nice to win the award, but the real reason is you might get a mention on ESPN, and then the fat guy who who's sitting on his couch, who works for the Kansas City Chiefs, who's looking for football players, drinking one too many vodka tonics, sees you like, oh, go out there and get Tyson.
Yeah. I'd agree. I'd agree with that statement. It's a cool thing to do. It adds to your resume. But I think the bigger picture is, like you said, that just so guys that are at where I'm trying to go, understand that I am capable of doing these things, right? That's kind of the reason that I'm playing. I want to go play professionally. And I think being able to win that award will just show that, hey, if you're going to draft anybody in D2, let's go, make it me, and let's do this thing. And it's also one of those things where, like, winning the Harlan Hill is also cool, but I couldn't tell you who won the Harlan Hill 3 years ago, and probably not a lot of people could. But what I could tell you is who won the national championship 3 years ago. So it's just thinking things like that where our coach always talks about just the individual stuff, your statistics, all that stuff is great and it's wonderful and he's happy for the people that get good stats, but it's not what you're going to talk about 20 years from now. Like you're going to talk about just those big games and those big moments like you just showed the video. And if you do win a national championship, that's certainly something that'll be talked about 20 years from now and nobody will forget it at all.
Um, an interesting thing, your dad over the years will send me like newspaper clippings of what you're doing, and I stopped watching football years ago. I used to watch football like every Sunday for like probably 10 years, and then I stopped. I was a Raider and Niner fan just as a little kid,
I
and
got you. Yeah.
and he would send me these clips, and I would watch, and I would read the article, and I'd be happy for your dad, and not not so much happy for you, like whatever, you're just a kid throwing a ball around. But when I would talk to your dad on the phone, he never would talk about your football. You know what he would say to me?
Huh.
Dude, you have to meet my son Tyson. He's the nicest, most affectionate kid. He is so fucking cool. He saves money, dude. If you ever open his wallet, he's always got $100 or $20 in there. Dude, your kids have to meet my son, dude. And he never talked about your football. He only talked
Yeah.
about your character. I swear. He never would, like, the text would be football. But
Yeah.
anytime I talked to him about you, it was all, oh, my son's so loving. Oh, you should see how nice he is to his girlfriend. Oh, you should see how nice he is to little kids. Oh, you should see. Oh, even after I go, what happened after the game? I go, when you saw Tyson, he goes, dude, I'm the luckiest dad ever. Tyson's so affectionate. And like, as a dad, I get that. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? There's
Yeah.
nothing better than your son
Yeah.
running over to hug you. And
Yeah.
and when he said that when you threw that pass, Ezra jumped on his back. And
Yeah.
he loved that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's so
Yeah.
funny how dads are like, I could get that. I almost started like tearing up a little bit. I'm like, oh my God, your son jumped on, like your big ass old son jumped on your back. And that's what he's thankful for you for throwing the pass, not because you're a great football player, but because you got Ezra to jump on his back and bring the family closer
Yeah.
together. And it's just, it's crazy. It's yeah. And another thing he told me, I'll share with you. And I've gone through this too. When you're spending so much time with your from the outside, people are like, hey, Sevan, get a job at Starbucks so you can have health insurance for your family and so that your kids
Yeah.
are safe. But your dad
Yeah.
and I, for some reason, are like, we just need to spend time with our kids. And so
Yeah.
like we're pushing against all the conventional wisdom. And so I haven't talked to him specifically about this, but I know a part of him is like, yeah, like it was more important that it was more important that I plowed my own path
Yeah.
to get to this. Like if I would have gone the normal way, I would have had a normal kid.
Yeah.
And I didn't go the normal way, and I'm not normal. And I didn't try to
Yeah.
fucking be normal. And it's only weirdos at the top.
Yeah. That's
Yeah. So
exactly right.
yeah, it's and by weirdos, I don't mean like go out and get a million fucking tattoos and put a giant bullhorn in your nose. Those aren't weirdos. Those are psychologically deranged people. Okay.
That's awesome.
So leadership, does someone tell you, hey, you're the quarterback now, you have to be the leader, or hey, this is how leaders talk, they don't swear, or you need to go to church? Like, how does that get instilled in you? Like, I mean, I don't know shit about leadership and I'm 49. What do you know about leadership? And you have all these big, strong dudes who like, they're all alphas, right? I know some people don't
Yeah.
like that term, but it's all dudes who just want to be the best man in
Yeah.
the room, and you have to lead
Yeah.
them. How do you do that? Or how do you know
I
how to do that?
I think it's a weird thing to where like if you would ask, I would almost certainly put my life on it. If you ask every player on the team who the captain, who the leader of the team is, that they would say me. And it's also this thing where, like you said, it's a bunch of alpha dudes who maybe wouldn't want to admit that, but I'm pretty sure that they would. And probably over half the dudes on the team could probably whoop my ass, right? But it's a difference between that and then getting up and looking at a bunch of dudes who are looking at you and telling them what they need to do and telling them what they've been doing wrong and holding them accountable. Not a lot of people. It's kind of like the public speaking thing. Like if you want to be a captain, a leader of a team, you can't be scared to talk to a bunch of people in a room. Like there's been countless times where I've had to kind of stop practice or stop a meeting because, maybe there's somebody talking, or maybe there's somebody, that is continuously messing up the same thing over and over. And you kind of just have, it's that whole thing of not being afraid, um, and not letting things slide. Like especially if you want to be a part of like a special team, which I think we have something special going on right now, you need to have times where your coaches aren't the ones that are constantly holding you accountable, right? Because it's one thing like a head coach gets up, he gives a speech, he tells you, you guys did bad at this today. But it's another thing for a dude that's the same age as you, that's on your team, to look at you and say, dude, you keep fucking this up. Like, we're not going to go to where we need to be if you are continuously messing this up. So I'd say basically the biggest thing is being able to be vocal and not be afraid of it. Anybody can go in there and go hard and during a lift or go hard during a sprint, but then it's a whole nother thing to be able to do that and be able to be vocal and tell people when they're doing good and when they're doing bad.
So you have to earn your leadership.
Yeah.
It's not. And do you fake it till you make it? Like the first time you do, you're like, oh, like are you in a practice somewhere and you're like, oh fuck, I gotta say something. Oh fuck, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, I
And you're
think I
like,
think
nope, sorry, fight or flight, gotta fight.
yeah, I think for me with the whole being vocal part, because I was always in high school, I was kind of like, unless I really knew you, like really knew you, I was kind of awkward, like socially awkward kind of. So for me, being able to be a vocal leader, it took like baby steps. I would just, while we're in warm-ups, I would just yell out, yeah, yeah, just real loud so people can hear me. They know I'm there. I'm starting to get more comfortable with being loud in this weird setting where I don't really necessarily want to be loud vocally, and then just little stuff like that. Then all of a sudden getting the team, leading all the team breaks. So bring it in, a family on three, give a little speech, doing things like that. Then it turns into motivational speeches before the games, getting the dudes hype. And then all of a sudden now, as soon as somebody fucks up, you don't even think for a half second. You're like, hey, hold up, stop talking while coach is talking, so that everybody can listen, so that we don't mess this up when we go out and practice. Hey, why weren't you messing this up in practice? But I didn't see you take one note when we were just in the room an hour ago going over this. Like, we got to fix that. So it's just little things like that, just the baby steps that I took in order to get to the point that I'm at now.
It's interesting. It's so you hold people accountable, you make people responsible, and you're honest with people. It's funny, and I use this example all the time. Sorry, but there's the guy Dave Castro who runs the CrossFit Games. When
Yeah.
you first start working with him, and he comes from the military. When you first start working with him, everyone thinks he's an asshole.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but once you realize you want to be leaded and you want to be on the winning team, you realize it's just because he's holding you accountable.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
actually respect when someone does that to you. They're actually giving
Yeah.
you respect. They're taking the
Yeah.
time to look at you and be like, "Yo, tighten your shit up."
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I think it's definitely important.
I wasn't around you that much as a kid. I probably, at the house, I would see you when I was there, but you were quiet. You were very, very quiet. You weren't boisterous. Your dad is not quiet, and it's interesting that now you're growing into it. And
Yeah.
you're kind of aware of how you grew into it. It wasn't on accident. You nurtured and cultivated it. You saw where you needed to be strong and you started working on it.
Yeah. I think it's one of the reasons that I love what I'm able to do so much, because I think, without football, I don't know how much I would yell. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just overall, just I feel like I would be talking at this volume. This would be my volume just throughout life. When I get on the
Wow,
football field,
it gives you a reason to express yourself in a different way. Like if you would have
yeah,
ended up being a clarinetist, you probably wouldn't yell, but there'd be times you'd blow into that fucker as hard as you can.
yeah, exactly. So it's like, if you're in the stands and you're watching the game, or even you're watching warm-ups and you're seeing me with my helmet off, yelling and screaming, clapping, getting these dudes hyped up, like you see that part of me. And I love being able to do that. Like I love when I get on the field, all the awkwardness, shyness, it all falls off, and I'm with a bunch of dudes who share the same goal, who want to accomplish the same thing. So I'm freaking out, I'm yelling, screaming, "Let's go!" Blah blah blah, and then off the field, it's back to this. But it's being able to release all that on the
Yeah.
field. So I feel so good after a game, whether we win, lose, or good or bad game. I was able to just go out there and freak out for about 3 hours, and now I can chill and be cool with it.
Yeah, it's a football's given Tyson Bagent the a place to express like the animal, a different side,
Yeah,
the side that
exactly. Yeah,
doesn't get expressed when you're with your girlfriend.
yeah,
Do you have a
exactly.
girlfriend?
I do not.
Oh, is that on purpose? Is that so? Like at your age, I'm guessing. Well, first of all, I don't know how you guys do it. 'Cause you guys are so hard on each other. You guys require way too much communication. And like, hey, I texted you an hour ago. Why haven't you text back? That shit's nuts.
Yeah, no,
Fucking
yeah.
nuts. You should never. You never want to be in that shit. No one should ever be elite. My phone used to ring in my house as a little kid, and I would run over and answer it. And finally, one day, my mom's like, "Hey, that phone's for us, right?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "That phone's like not to so other people can call you. That phone is so like if you want to answer it, if you want to call people, you can. You're not
Yeah.
obligated to shit." And I was like, "Oh, yeah." And so we'd be watching TV at my house, 8 o'clock at night, watching Incredible Hulk or Knight Rider, and that phone would ring, and my mom and I would look at each other and be like, "Fuck those people. I'm watching TV." And I
Yeah.
feel that way about my cell phone too. Like, screw you. Like
Yeah.
I don't know you shit.
It is, yeah, it's definitely a weird thing where I like, because obviously, I love football. Well, when I think of like my life, I see myself, obviously, I want to get married, I want to have kids, I want to do all that. So it's like when I think of the fact that I only have one opportunity to do all that, I'm way more picky with just like the whole social aspect of things. Like if I'm thinking I want to take a girl on a date, maybe like I've got to imagine, like, all right, could this woman potentially be the whole, like, could she be it, right? And just being able to figure that out while trying to play football and lead a group of 20-year-old dudes to where I want to take them, it's definitely it's a weird thing, but not
Yeah,
stressing out
girls
about
are
it, obviously.
cool. Yeah, it's a trip. Everyone and I've talked about this on so many shows because I've had so many great people on. But if you're gonna be with a great person, you have to be a special person. It's not this traditional stuff. Oh, we're gonna have date night this night. We're gonna have this. We're gonna have that. Like, man, God bless my wife. Like, it's not like that. Like,
Yeah.
I view myself as a great person, and it's like, hey, if they call, if like tomorrow's your birthday or our anniversary, but they call and they're like, there's a film shoot in Africa, I don't even think twice. And if you make
Yeah.
me feel even slightly as guilty for that, fuck you. Then you're not the right one. Because
Yeah.
I sure as fuck wouldn't do that to you. My
Yeah. That's
birthday or
yeah.
our anniversary. Go fuck yourself. You would do
That's
birthday
exactly
next week.
that's exactly how I kind of feel about it. I mean, like you said, there's a lot of people that are like, and I've actually been in a relationship where it was like, why you never texting me? Why you didn't tell me good morning? Like that, all that bullshit. And I'm really kind of thinking like, all right, everybody that I'm around with kind of does this whole thing, but I really don't really quite understand it. Like, let me know that you're okay. I'll let you know I'm okay. And then I'll call you maybe as soon as maybe I get some free time throughout the day. But I'm not gonna think about with all the free time, any free time I get throughout the day. I'm not gonna constantly think, oh, okay, let me go type some text up and try to have a conversation with you about nothing. Like I'd rather just, I don't know. I'm feel pretty
You
pretty good where I'm
That
at.
guy, do you know what the Sistine Chapel is? It's like, I don't know where it is, but it's that famous painting where it's like the dude and God are like touching fingers. I think it's on the roof of
Yeah,
some building.
yeah,
Imagine you're that dude and you're painting that, and you're on the ladder and your fucking cell phone rings and you got to come down and answer it. Fuck off. And then you get down and your wife's like, I called you 13 times. You're like, yo, I was having God's hand touch this other dude's hand, and it's gonna be seen around the world for fucking a million more years.
And now you're
It's
trying to
it's
piss
it's
me off. Now you're trying to piss me off right after I just did it.
Yeah, and you don't think I would rather be at home, laying on you naked, but I'm doing this and I'm getting in trouble. I'm painting
Yeah.
like this all day. My fucking neck hurts and I'm in trouble. Like
Yeah,
you're disrespecting your mate. Imagine if you're an imagine you're Daytona 500 racer and you're on lap 497 and your wife's trying to call you and you get in trouble because you didn't pick up the phone. Like if you're that kind of woman or that kind of man, just know you will never have anybody great. If you put demands on, because they can't win the Indianapolis 500, they can't win the Super Bowl because you have fucking rules for them because you're a fucking nag. You will never have anyone great. Do you want to support someone who's great or not?
Good point. Great point.
God, if I could go back in time, Tyson, I would be you. You're so cool. Seriously.
Man,
I
this is
mean,
nah, this dude, this is pretty sweet. Since I've been following you, I've been loving it all, man. Your kids are awesome. Whatever all the stuff
thanks.
you do with them, it's all pretty sweet. Not a lot of people do it like that.
Your dad doesn't know how much he influenced me, and if I bring it up, he gets all weird. Like if I'm on, if I'm on the phone with him, I'm like, dude, you taught me so much about parenting. I just loved how real you were with your kids, and blah blah blah. And
Yeah.
he'll just be like, oh, wait, you change the subject. He don't like doing that mushy stuff with me, but I still do it with him. But
Yeah.
it was huge how he talked to you. So most people, when they become adults, they try to pretend like they're adults. And your
Yeah.
dad never pretended like he was an adult. Like basically, all I ever saw was that he would protect you. But
Yeah.
other than that, you were just another human being who like he just put hardship on you to make like he just pushed you.
Yeah.
And I saw him push your brother too. I remember being in that basement and him throwing fucking little red footballs at you guys, just
Dude,
incessantly,
yeah. Yeah.
hard,
Yeah. Yeah,
beating you guys.
he sent me a video of that the other day back when we lived in Shepherdstown. That little basement. He throw three. You run, you catch it, throw it down, catch another one, and yeah, it's definitely things like that just go overlooked with just like the coordination that me and my brother have. Like aside from playing football, me and Ezra are probably in the top or close to it percentile in just overall coordination. Like you talking about dudes that can juggle, walk on their hands, backflips, freaking swim perfectly, uh, jump, catch, run, just pull ups, muscle ups. Like it's just all that stuff to where it's like you do it and you don't think about it, but then it's like, I know how to do all this because my dad was in the yard with me and my brother throwing a football 30 yards in the air and making us catch it and just stuff like that that just you don't necessarily think about, but when you do, it's crazy.
And he was strict but funny. You know what I mean? Like he talks to you guys like he talks to me. Like I can just see him throwing a pass at you and you dropping it and him calling you Joe the donut or what's wrong? What the fuck are you looking at over there on the wall? And that's how I try to be with my kids too. Like be harsh with them, but also funny. Like, what the fuck were you doing? Hey,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Dude, yeah,
um,
that's like exactly like even when he was my coach, like for like in youth football, we're the Razorbacks, probably because of his thing that he would do with getting he saw a player that he wanted, he'd go talk to his dad, like, yo, come over here and coach, come be a coach. And all of a sudden, his son's fathered into the team, grandfathered into the team. So it's just little stuff like that to where I make a bad pass and I'm like 10 years old, right? Nobody's expecting a 10-year-old to be able to make every pass. But as soon as I would throw a wobbly duck or maybe throw it to the other team and just in practice, and he would just kind of look at me with this side eye and just be like, "Man, like, are you serious right now? Like, come on, dude. Like, wake up. Like, let's go." Meanwhile, everybody else on the team is just dicking around, fucking around, just all that stuff. But it's just those little smart remarks. Like even during COVID, he had this little play. He had this building rented out, and we had everything you needed in it. We had bars, rings, pull-up bars, dumbbells, all that stuff. So we were
where
CrossFitting
at
in it.
home or at school?
So this is in no, this is in Martinsburg. So this is like COVID like lockdown, um, from I guess it was for like from April of 2020 all the way up until like I guess July, August, for us. Um, So he had this spot rented out, and since you couldn't do anything, we would
Who
just
had it?
60.
Sorry, Tyson. Who had it rented out? Your dad did?
My dad had this like building because
For
his
you
good
guys.
well, yeah, his good buddy has like this whole strip of like buildings, and one of them happened to be like a little gym area. So he rented it out, got all like the
Wow.
machinery. He got all the
Okay.
machinery taken out of it, and then we just had bumper plates, bars, rings,
Okay.
pull-up bars in there. So me and Ezra and DM, and then just
Who's
any
DM?
friend.
Is that one of the players on your team?
No, that's my sister, DM.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, DM.
Um,
Sorry. I thought you
yeah.
said DM. DM. Yeah.
So us three plus any other maybe Martinsburg High School player, any friends that I had, just we 6 days a week. If you could make it, cool. If you couldn't, just piss off. But Monday through Saturday, since we had nothing to do, we're just going and we're CrossFitting. He's programming all the workouts. He's doing all this. He's doing all that. Um, and yeah, we just went at it for that whole time. And it was so fun because I was like, you just went to sleep thinking like, all right, like the workout tomorrow is about to be fucking, it's gonna be brutal. Like it's 100 hang squat cleans with a 10-yard handstand walk every 2 minutes, just stuff like that. And then anytime Ezra would beat me, he kind of would do that same thing. Like, man, like you're soft, man. How you gonna let Ezra beat you? Blah blah. And then all of a sudden, then that would cause me to go on like a 5-day workout run of just crushing Ezra. Then he looks at Ezra on the fifth day of me beating him, and he's just like, man, I'm programming these workouts in your favor, and you still can't beat him. What's wrong with you?
I love
Come
it.
on. And it's just stuff like that, just the competitiveness, but also like the goofy aspect to it that is just super awesome.
So DM works out. DM trains.
I mean, she is in no way, shape, or form does she train, but my dad does. My dad does like him because,
How old is she now? How old is she? 12, 13?
she's 13. She's 13, and she gets straight A's. She's big. She's smart. She's in the show choir. She's in the
Oh wow.
clubs. Like she's in. Uh,
Uh oh. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Uh oh. That's not good. Oh, he's gone. Dude, what a great kid. There's so many notes I have on him that we're not even getting to. Hey, man, that's the dude you want dating your daughter. If someone has a daughter out there who's cool, knows how to keep her shit in line, and like fucking, like she wants to be great too, like she wants to be a pro soccer player, or she wants to be president of the United States, that's the dude you want. Because that kid is focused. Holy crap. He has one more year. He's up for the Harlan Hill Award. It is the equivalent to the Heisman, but it's for Division II college football teams. Harlan, Harlon, Hill Trophy. It's weird when you do a podcast, especially live shit. Like this is the kind of shit like you're terrified of. You're dread. Like, oh fuck, the guest is gone. What am I gonna do? But like I'm getting just good at this shit. I can just like either I don't care or I've just gotten good at it. Device disconnected. I wonder if did your battery die?
oh fuck! Now I can't hear you.
Oh,
The fuck is going
how about
on?
now? His high school won 8 of its last 10 state championships. That's where Ezra, his brother, is going right now. Ezra Bagent, who's also a junior. Travis, I was asking Travis yesterday, is he going to go to his son's high school championship game, or is he going to go to Tyson's game? And I guess Travis is going to go to Ezra's game, and mom and grandma are going to go to Tyson's game, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Why is your dad going to Ezra's game?
Um.
And does that
I
piss you
mean,
off? Or are you like, fuck you, dude? I'm big time.
nah. Nah. I mean, I
Oh,
kind of expected. I kind of expected them to go. I mean, he's playing in the state championship game You don't necessarily get to do that a whole bunch in your life. Not a lot of people do. Um, and it's going to be a good game too. They're playing a pretty good team. Um, and hopefully if it all works out, he's going to go to Ezra's game this weekend, and he'll be back watching me next weekend after we win this game this weekend.
So this team that you're playing this weekend is the team that you have your one loss to this year.
It is. Yeah, Kutztown University.
And what was the score last time you guys played?
37-29.
And this is the regional championships.
Yeah, regional championship, playing for a ring.
And then there's one. If you win this game, then there's another game you can win after that. And what's that one called?
That's the national semifinals. So
And then
there'll
the
only
game
be
after
four
that
teams left.
is
The national championship.
wow.
Yeah, it's
And
getting close.
yeah, and those. Have you ever been this far down the path?
I've never been this far in college. In 2019, we won the first round of the playoffs, and then we got spanked in the second round. But now here we are in the third round. So no, I've never been this far.
How is it that you're? Why are so many people thinking that you're going to win the Harlan Hill Trophy, but there's four other teams out there that are. I mean, especially this team that beat you. Why isn't some guy on that team the front runner for the Harlan Hill?
Um, it's this cool thing where we are a really good team, but a lot of our offense is kind of ran through me and how successful I'm able to be. So a lot of these other teams just have a super good overall team who don't necessarily have to have their offense or defense ran through them. They just kind of have 11 solid dudes who just make their play, and they go about their business. Luck. I mean, for us, we're constantly throwing the ball, so I'm constantly throwing touchdowns to an array of different dudes who are able to score once they get it. Um, so I think it's just a mixture of just like how good we've done this season and how good the statistics look individually, on my part, just based on how often we throw the ball and just how we play.
So do they make the offense based on? I didn't think of it that way. Do they make the offense based on the quarterback that they have, or do they try to find the quarterback to fit the offense they have, or
I think
both?
it kind of depends on like what kind of offense you run. So for us, we run the spread offense. You've got four receivers, one quarterback, one running back. So when you get in a system like that, you could be really good if you have a really good quarterback, and you could be really bad if you don't have a good quarterback. And there's
Right.
some offenses, like for instance, there's a team
And
called
sorry, let me ask this real quick. So is that why you went to Shepherd? You knew that they would do that for you, or like would it suck if you would have gone to a college that had like the best running back in the
um
division?
it wouldn't have sucked, but it wouldn't have been like the individual statistics probably wouldn't have looked as good. So like in 2017, there was a quarterback at Shepherd. His name was Connor Jessup, and he was lighting it up. And I'm looking at their offense and I'm watching everything he's doing, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I think I'm as good. I think I could be as good as that dude. So if I come here, like this is what will happen. This is what will happen with me. So kind of watching that in 2017, and just kind of based on their overall success in 2015 and 2016, I kind of knew that we could be a really good team, and I could be put in a position, to be able to, for just people to know who I am and potentially just get the eyes of like the pro level on me.
Do your coaches tell you that? Like when you like maybe not when you first get there, but at some point they're like, "Hey man, this or is it just an unspoken known like, "Hey man, this offense, you're either going to flourish here or it's going to expose your weaknesses and you're going to look like a doofus."
Yeah, I think, um, they got just the whole recruiting process. They kind of like they want to sell you, so they're obviously selling me on their best stuff. So they're like, hey, like you saw what this dude did, right? We think you're just as good as that dude. You come here, you throw the ball a bunch of times, and we're gonna be really successful. We're gonna put dudes around you that know how to score touchdowns once they get the ball, and that's just how it's gonna be. And then, so yeah, I'd say that if I was not a very good quarterback, especially, football fans everywhere suck. Like they're the worst. So I'd definitely be getting
Like basically, what have
slandered.
you done for me lately? You throw 10 good
Yeah,
passes, you're a star. You throw one bad one, they hate you.
yeah, exactly. Like, so I definitely there would be a lot of slander if I wasn't as good as I am, especially in an offense like this.
When a dude gets through and mashes you, does the guy he got past take immediate responsibility for it and is like, dude, I'm so sorry, and like he's picking you off the ground and dusting off your ass and shit?
They'll usually help me up. It's not normally till after the game where they're like, hey man, like, my bad on that. Just because, you got to focus on the next play and stuff. You don't want to think about um, one play for too long because, you've always got, it's never as important as the next play that you're going to run. So it's normally after the game, they're like, yeah, man, like, dude, my bad. Like, I fucked up. But nah,
You're in a weird position. Not a lot of dudes go to the NFL from Division Two. Like not a lot at all.
yeah.
And going to the NFL, it's even let like just no one goes to the NFL, right? I mean, just like you look at the numbers and that funnel at the top gets so fucking skinny and narrow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, first of all, I'm making the presupposition because you said you want to keep playing. I'm assuming you would like to go to the NFL or at least get an opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the guys that have gone before, I think 3 quarterbacks have gone, and I think from Division Two, and I think they were all Harlan Hill Trophy winners, multiple times, maybe even. Is that does that interfere with your ability to enjoy your games because you know that every game is a job interview in a really hard job interview?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's definitely like it definitely is stressful, and I'm definitely am every game trying to sell to everybody like what I'm capable of doing and what I can do. Um, but I think just being able to be super prepared, just so preparing myself throughout the week, kind of just getting ready for what I know I'm about to see, like when the game comes around, and um, just being able to understand that as long as I am as sharp as possible and play as hard as possible on each individual play, um, that there's really no need to stress about the big picture of things when you're only focused on, hey, on this play I got to do this and that. So let's handle that, and then we'll figure out what happens at the end of the game. And that's kind of worked for me so far because it is stressful. Football is stressful. Football season is stressful. Being in the quarterfinals of the Division Two national playoffs is stressful, but just me being able to ease my mind with just one, how prepared I am, and then two, just handling each play to the best of my capability, kind of it just eases my mind.
Is there stuff that your dad used to have you do as a kid that at the time you resented your dad and that you've already like I know you're still young, but you're like, oh shit, I'm so glad he had me do that. Like is the story of your youth changing yet? Do you have time to reflect on it? Like from what you tell
Yeah,
yourself
so
is going on when you're a kid to how now you're starting to be like, oh shit, everything was different. Or maybe even vice versa. Shit that he did that you thought was good then was like, hey, that was a fuck up. He shouldn't have done that.
nah, nah, I can't think of anything that's like a big fuck up that like kind of mess things up from where I am now. But I kind of there's two things that come to mind. One is when I was in middle school and he owned CrossFit 304, and that was in full swing. And after school, um, he was like, all right, let's go. We got CrossFit class, let's roll. And there was a lot of days where I was just kind of like, oh my gosh, dude, like seriously, let me take a nap or something. Like, I hate CrossFit. Why are you making me do this shit? And that kind of has been like looking back on things like that, and how he is with my brother, kind of the same way. Um, there's a lot of times in college, especially during like football season, where I've got you got lifts in the morning, you got the couple classes you got to go to, then you got treatment meetings and practice, and then you got to come home and do homework. So it's like when I think about it like that, like, oh, thank God my dad was making me do that bullshit in middle school, because now it's not nearly as hard as it would have been if he would have let me just come home and take a nap every day. Um, and then the second thing, would be just me being super just sharp with everything I do. Like, so I think with every 10, so my completion percentage, I'll just think about that, is around 70%. So 7 out of every 10 passes are being completed, successful plays, and I think that kind of stems from like even in youth league, like I said in practice when I make a bad throw and he kind of looks at me like, "Come on, dude, like what are you doing?" So that's kind of how I view every play. Like where if I don't get a completion, it's either they played really good defense or the dude dropped it, because I'm trying to be as sharp as possible on every single play so that we can be successful. So I think those two things just hold me to a higher standard than everybody else that was around him. And then the first one, fuck did I say about yeah, just about me not chilling, just
Yeah.
always moving around.
Work ethic. He put work ethic
Yeah,
into you.
exactly.
I don't know if this is true what I'm about to say. I really don't, but I'm speculating. The little bit I know your mom is like a hardcore nurturer. Like one, she's disciplined and she's a beautiful woman and she clearly takes care of herself. She clearly exercises, but she was a nurturer. And your dad is to call your dad an alpha is like an understatement. He's
Yeah,
super fucking, I mean, he's very loving. Don't get me wrong. He's the first dude to fucking hug me and put his arm around me, and he's the sweetest man ever. But man, the motherfucker could be aggressive as all get out. And like if he
yeah,
comes one time there were two, I was at a party and it's a bar in Texas, a huge bar, no exaggeration, thousands and thousands of people. What
yeah,
crazy bar with like a live concert and the bull and shit, and there were two SEAL Team 6 guys, and we were in a private area with like 100 drunk fucking people, drunk. And there were two SEAL
yeah,
Team 6 guys in a face off with a U.S. Marshal. Like all fucking everyone's drunk as fuck, all
yeah,
big dudes. And your
yeah,
dad just walks right like face to face, like it's gonna break out, it's gonna be a fight. Like like when two dogs are barking on the other side of a fence
yeah, yeah,
and you're like, fuck, someone lift the fence up and let's see this shit. Your dad walks in between them with no aggression, kind of hugs the U.S. Marshal. The dude's probably a little taller than your dad, but not quite as broad in the shoulders. And your dad just kind of like slowly walks this guy over to a back door, opens the door, and just while the guy's still like the dog's still barking, pushes him out. Closes the door, and it was like to the outside, right? It was like some emergency exit. I'm like, how the fuck did you do that? He's like, I just take control. He's all calm. I'm just taking control. So no one wants to fight. I just taking control, and then it's over. But
yeah,
for two people to stay together like that, a couple, like my wife and I were together for 10 or 15 years and or longer, 20 years, and I'm very aggressive and she's very nurturing, and that's what I think. This is self-serving as fuck. I think it's although as a couple it's hard to stay together like that once you have kids. Before you have kids it's a fucking dream. Then you guys come and everything changes because the wife wants to protect you and the dad's trying to like throw you out to the wolves.
yeah, yeah,
And so if the parents are able to stay together through that intensity, this is what you get. You get
yeah.
Tyson, you get Ezra, you get Diem. What's the fourth one's name?
Valen.
Valen. That's right, I knew that.
Yeah,
Shit,
Valen.
I'm gonna get shit for that from your dad
No,
if he made it this far.
that's actually it's funny you said that. First
I mean,
thing
she
that
loved the shit out of you. She had a total different way of
yeah,
loving you than your dad. I mean,
yeah,
it's obvious she's the nurturer.
yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
The first thing I thought about when you just said that is like when I first started playing football. So I was 6 years old. It was like this. It was like a couple months before I was gonna start playing football, and my dad had this buddy named Frankie Tyson who had a son who was a year older than me, named Frankie Tyson, who was the hardest 7-year-old dude in the history of 7-year-old dudes. Like this dude was all gas, no brakes, headbutt people, like all this, right?
At 7.
So he had already played a year, his 6-year-old year of football. Now he's 7. He's about to go in his second year of football. This dude would call Big Frankie, be like, "Hey, come over to the house." Dude would come to the house. Kid would have his shoulder pads on. Dad would put me in my shoulder pads, and he would have his dude pound me. Like we would do like 4 or 5 hitting drills. dude he was just fucking me up, right? Like I had no aggression in me at the time, like didn't know how to do it, but this dude Frankie's lighting me up, and he didn't care that he was lighting me up at all. And like 2 3 times a week, I would either go to his house or he would bring him to my house, and he would just pound me, right? And my mom always would say, like, her and my aunt like would be at the house, and they would be so mad at my dad, and like sometimes they would even like tear up and cry
Yeah,
and all
yeah, I
this
get it.
stuff, right? So the my 6 year old year happens, and this is just one of those things where I'm like, dude, dad, like, I hate you. I cannot believe that you are
Did
doing
you
this
hate
right
this
now.
kid too? Did you hate this kid too?
It's
Like,
fun.
fuck
It's
off.
funny. Me and this dude we ended up being really good friends for like my whole childhood. So then my 7 year old season comes around, and it's the first day of hitting, and I'm mauling everybody. Like I'm just that guy, right? So then it's just like, even then it clicked. I was like, man, thank goodness that he was bringing little Frankie over here to fucking abuse me for
Would
those
you would
couple
you
months.
cry? Would you cry during those?
Oh, dude, I was crying before it even started, like every time. For
Oh, I feel horrible for
yeah.
laughing.
Nah, I mean, looking back on it, that's just one of the things that, I don't necessarily know if that's how I would do it to my
Right,
kid, but I'm
right.
grateful that he did do that because it made me a good football player.
I'm telling you, it wasn't easy for him. No dad's
Oh yeah, no shot. I can't
like you
imagine.
don't want to see that. Like, it's weird. Like, you don't want to see your. It's like now when I see Avi like crash in the bowl or something, he's skateboarding or something like.
Yeah.
You don't want to, you want to run over there and help him get up, but you're just like, dude, like, I'm not always gonna be here, and like I
Yeah.
gotta just like stand back and just, but you want to run over there, you want to help him so bad. There's probably times that kid probably hit you that Travis probably wanted to kick that kid and his dad across the street, but he knew that like,
Yeah. Bigger picture.
uh, um, before we go here, I want to talk a little bit more about the game that you have coming up this week. So you have this game, you have to win this game. It's the only team that's beat you this year. Where can people watch this game?
Um, so I think it'll be on streaming on YouTube. There's also, if you go to the Shepherd University or the Kutztown University football page, you can find the live stream there. And it's the quarterfinals. It might be televised. It probably will be televised, but I'm not quite sure where yet. Um, but yeah, you can stream it pretty easily either on YouTube or on the Shepherd or Kutztown football homepage.
All right. And I'll keep people posted. And shit, all you got to do is make another last minute touchdown like that.
Yeah, or not let it get to that point.
It's just beat them up so bad. Hey, do they ever end a football game because it's so lopsided or no?
Nah, just that once it gets to a certain point, the clock just doesn't stop. It just keeps going.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but that's like it would have to be like, I think it's like 35 or 40 points or something like that.
So that's the goal.
Yeah, running clock.
Hey, before you snap this play, are you shaking?
Nah, I
No.
wasn't shaking. Nah, I was
Do you
just
ever
kind of
shake
like, I
out
mean,
there?
nah, I get really good butterflies before the game. But then once the game starts, it's kind of just like, all right, like we're in it right after that first play.
Yeah, my son's been doing jiu-jitsu tournaments. He's done 4 or 5 now, and he tells me, he's like, yeah, right before I go out there, I'm like shaking. I go, what do you mean I'm shaking? He goes, what do you mean? What do you mean? He's 7. He goes, I'm shaking. I'm like vibrating. I'm like, oh shit, how do you do jiu-jitsu like that? He goes, oh no, as soon as they say go, that shit stops. I'm like, oh, like I know. I'm like, dude, I
Dude,
never played a
that's how
sport in my life.
yeah, that's how I get before like a CrossFit workout. Like, especially if it's gonna be a hard one, I'm just like, I get like really nervous before that too. But it's just once it starts, you just get it done, no matter what it is.
Sorry, so there was only gonna be one more question. There's one more thing I want to convey. And I think it's like this, but you're on a team right now where everyone wants to do the same thing. everyone, right? Like everyone who's there wants to be there. It's so when I first started working at CrossFit Inc. in the first 10 or 10 years I was there, everyone wanted to be there. And I just assumed that's how life was. But I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you, life is not like that. Like if
Yeah.
you work at Starbucks, 9 out of the 10 people who work there don't want to be there. If you work at CrossFit Inc. now, 50% of the people don't want to be there. And people are working because it's a job. When I worked there, it was like everyone had found God through CrossFit, right? Like
Yeah.
it had somehow changed their life. So they just had to be there. And so what you're doing by pursuing your dream to keep playing football afterwards is to stay at that level where everyone that I just realized this doing this show with you just now. That's the pinnacle of life. It's not whether you made it to the NFL or to made $1 billion. It's working somewhere where everyone wants to be there. So like I do that. Like I really was so excited to talk to you this morning, even though like I hate doing the podcast. Like I
Yeah.
really want to be here and I really want it to be the best podcast. And like I'm doing like every guest, I just want them to like know that I cared because I
Yeah.
want them to want to be here too. And so you're playing football and you're playing this game, and dude, I know you don't take it for granted, but it's so cool that you contribute to that. And like I encourage you to keep pursuing only places where you know everyone is going to want to be there, because all my friends who basically, you know how they say, you'll hear like, oh, I'm selling my soul, or this place is sucking my soul dry. That's because there's people who don't want to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
And
That's super
and your
important.
dad didn't do that.
Yeah.
Your dad stayed with DM Valen, Tyson and Ezra because he wasn't going to sell his soul. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm only going to be where I want to be.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right. I'll bug you. You know what I was thinking about doing? Oh shit, we didn't even talk about this. This will be the next show. Do you know who Nick Rodriguez is? I had him on the show. He's a
I
fighter.
show you I don't know if it was you or the guy who helps with the podcast, but yeah, I saw a video of it. Bad dude.
Yeah. It would be
Yeah.
cool. I want to circle back around. It'd be cool to have both you guys on and just talk about what it he's 20. How old are you?
21.
Okay, I think he's 25, and basically talk, and he does an individual sport and you do
Okay.
a team sport. And we didn't get
Yeah.
into any of that at all. And that's a subject that does interest me. But sometime in the future, maybe get the two of you on and talk about those things, like girlfriends, distractions from cell phones, individual versus team, being hard on yourself, lessons learned, and just talk about, going through puberty while playing a sport,
Yeah.
just all the stuff that people will care about. Just
Yeah,
get two just
anytime.
savages. Okay, cool.
Anytime.
All right, brother.
I appreciate it, man. I had a good time.
Yeah, so good.